Hey guys, today we're doing my Christmas book haul. I know I'm a little late. I'm a few days late. Uh, I use like gift cards and Christmas money to buy the books, as you can vaguely see behind me. So a lot of them had to come in the mail, so I was waiting till I had them all to do the book haul. But let's go ahead and get started. The first book in the haul is Animal Farm by George Orwell. My first Orwell. I've never read any Orwell before, and I thought I'd start here since it's small and it's always taught in schools. I just never had to read it, so I'm really excited to get into this one. The next book is actually one I could not find. I was looking for, and if you've watched my channel, I talk about it. Ernesto Sapato, his first novel, The Tunnel, I really enjoyed. I reviewed it. I bought his third novel, The Angel of Darkness, which I keep saying is on my TBR, and it is. But the reason I didn't get to it is because I kind of wanted to read his second novel before, but it's impossible to find an English translation of it, because I think the last time it was translated in English was like in the 80s. And anyway, they were really expensive. They were like $40 at least to find one on eBay and used and whatever. So I wasn't sure. I thought I would read it from my university library before I bought it for myself. But my wonderful, wonderful best friend, Tony, shout out Tony, if you watch these, I'll know, because you'll tell me that you saw this. But if you're lying to me and you don't really watch these like you tell me, then I'll know, because you won't hear my thank you. But it is On Heroes and Tombs by Ernesto Sapato, and I'm really, 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 really glad that he got this. I'm really excited to read it, and wonderful. I am so stoked. Now I can actually read the second one before the third one. I'm so happy. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop before I just go nuts. The next book my mom got me, and I thought this was funny. It is the New York Times Dictionary of Misunderstood, Misused, and Mispronounced Words. Words we think we know until someone asks us what they mean. So I've been kind of looking at this. I took it to work with me the other day, and I was listening to a football announcer on the TV discuss football, and he used a word, and I was like, I hear that word a lot. Is that really how it's used? And it turns out it was in here. Pyrrhic was the word, and I believe he was using it incorrectly. So now I use this. I think it's kind of funny, and I've blamed my mother. If I become an insufferable ass always correcting people, it's her fault. She got it for me. The next book is Under the Volcano by Malcolm Lowry. I know this was written, I think he's British, but I mean, look, it's such an awesome, it's so simple, just a simple little book. I'm excited to read it. I had never heard about it before, but I think it's about a British consul who is assigned to Mexico and is in Mexico, and I'm not sure exactly when, but I know it's, I think, a little earlier in the century of 1900s, but it centers around a day where he's kind of like an alcoholic, and his wife shows up, and it's the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and then that's when all the action takes place. I heard about it in one of the shows with Anthony Bourdain. He was in Mexico, and he's talking about how this book is like one of the greatest books ever written by kind of like the beat-ish type people, and so I was really interested, and I'm a sucker for like Day of the Dead imagery. You can tell it's got the little Day of the Dead thing. And I have this sitting next to my bed all the time, because I just think it's gorgeous. I mean, look at that. So anyway, I'm a sucker. I love the idea of the Day of the Dead. It's a really interesting holiday to me. So, really excited for that one. The next one is Moby Dick, by Herman Melville. And I keep getting told, I've heard really good reviews of this on several different channels. I've never read it. I've never read it. And I want to. I've heard it's on here. It says the greatest novel ever written by an American. And I've heard other people say that. I've also heard that this was also the book that kind of put American or U.S. literature on the map and had it start being taken kind of seriously. And Melville's it's kind of one of those things. I study literature in college, and American Lit's my favorite and the one I focus on, so it kind of seems like I should read this. So, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I don't know how to feel. I've heard a lot of people, it's like either one way. People love it or they hate it, and I've heard a lot of both. So, I'm excited to get in there and actually make the decision for myself. Okay, the next one is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Oh, thank God. I thought I totally butchered that for a second. I might have. Anyway. But I've heard that this is, I know the story, is kind of like, what's his name? Humbert. Anyway, it's kind of this old dude creeping on a younger girl and like trying to seduce her or whatever. I think it's him kind of like explaining, it's like his explanation of why that's fine or why that's okay. But I've also heard that this book is some of the most beautiful writing in, I think it was originally, I don't know. I don't know if it was originally written in English, but it's some of the most beautiful writing and so excellent. People are always talking about it, so I decided I should probably read it. So this one's I'm very excited about. This just shows you how like classically I'm so not well read. Here we have The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, and I think this is 2 longer essays that got put together, but I have yet to read any. I've read 3 novels by him. I've read interviews of his, and I've read a short story collection. I haven't read any of his essays, and I hear this one is very popular and one of the most often cited ones that I see people talk about all the time, so I figured I'd start here. And I love James Baldwin. I've come to just adore his writing, so I'm really excited for this one as well. Then we have, I'm really excited about this one as well, the complete short stories of Zora Neale Hurston, who wrote Their Eyes Were Watching God, and I know she wrote a few other things. I think they were like kind of anthropological or focused on like the folk myths and histories of Black Americans in the South. But I know she was definitely underappreciated in her own time, and I believe she died fairly penniless and like with nothing. And I had to read one of her short stories in a class, and then I've read Their Eyes Were Watching God, and both were amazing. So I got the complete short stories to read some more of her fiction, and I would really like to find what else she's written and read that as well. And I highly suggest that anybody who's interested in that time period, kind of Harlem Renaissance-ish time, go read Their Eyes Were Watching God. And I'll let you know what I think of this. I know it has the one story that I like. Obviously it should. It's the complete short stories. But as you can tell, for being the complete stories, it's not even that big. So, you know, I feel like she kind of got the raw end of the deal. Oh, her many books. I feel like from what I understand, at the time she kind of was like ousted out of the Harlem Renaissance community for not really wanting to pick sides and not wanting to be like really labeled with anybody, and that she was kind of radical and like, I feel I don't really give a shit what you think, and they kind of pushed her out because of that. But I think she's awesome. I've read a couple other little things by her, and she's great. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing. The next one is This Is How You Lose Her by Junot Diaz. And I hear a lot of good things about this guy. And I decided, I know he wrote the Brief and Wondrous Life, or the Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde? The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. So, I know that's a novel, and I was going to go there, but I decided this one seemed to catch me a little bit more. Because it's about love, and I don't know if you've caught this, Steve, but I'm a sucker. I love love, and I love the idea of people exploring it in all its many weird and twisted and good aspects. So I decided to go with this. I think it's a collection of short stories that kind of are connected, that are about the different aspects of love. So I'm really excited for that one. And I think he has 2 or 3 other things that he's Drown and then Oscar Wilde. I think that's it. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it's just the 3. So I'm really excited. It's definitely someone more contemporary, which I enjoy when I can find contemporary authors who are, I feel like, in the same league with some of the more classic people. Which sounds really pretentious, but come on, whatever. So the next book I'm going to read is A Chronicle of a Death Foretold by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I am like drawn in by his writing style, and like I loved Love in the Time of Cholera. I thought 100 Years of Solitude was just okay, and Memories of My Melancholy Hordes was okay, but it was his writing is just very like languid and sleepy, and I love it. So I've heard this is really, really good. So I have decided to get it and read it because I was told it was very, very good. Yeah. And it does sound interesting. It's like a murder took place and then someone comes back and he's like figure out why it took place. It doesn't sound like a typical Gabriel Garcia Marquez plot, which is interesting. So I'd love to see how he does with it. And it's very short. It looks like it's going to be a quick, nice, hopefully impactful read. I've heard good things. So, excited. Highly excited. I mean, I'm really excited for all these, really. There's not one where I'm like, oh, I don't really want to read that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got it. Here, and again, and this is my, continuing my Latin American kind of reading, I was suggested to start reading the works of Isabel Allende, and so I got this, The House of the Spirits. Spirits, yeah. I really don't know that much about it, but I asked my Spanish professor last semester for a list of who she considered to be like really important Latin authors and poets, and this was one of her favorites, and she said Miss Allende, or Mrs. Allende, I don't know. Anyway, and I'm not sure, I think she's Chilean. Hold on a second. This is how you know I'm really classy and I only do these things and like, I don't edit. You just get one long cut because I'm too silly to like, you know, edit out or to make it nice for you. Oh, born in Peru. Yeah, she's Chilean. So I think, Garcia Marquez is Colombian, I believe. Ernesto Spada is Argentinian. Then I have a Chilean writer. And I know Junot Diaz is, I think he's American, but I think he'd be considered American. But he's born, I don't know, Dominican Republic? And now I feel like an idiot. Anyway, really excited for that. Don't know much about it. But I really am enjoying these Latin American authors, so I'm excited. This one is, I guess you could say, the complete opposite of Latin American. And it's The Lord of the Rings, the complete trilogy. And I wanted to get one, they have some that are really like fancy, and I wanted to get one that wasn't. Because I kind of like how it's just simple, you know, and it's not the film tie-in. And I'm going to be honest, I think I read the first two Lord of the Rings books a long, long time ago when I was much younger, and I don't really remember too much about them. So I decided it was time to read them, and the reason I got one was, one, it's cheaper, and two, this was how he intended it to be read. Tolkien intended Lord of the Rings to just be one really long book as opposed to three, but at the time when he published it, they couldn't, they said if we print it as one thing, like, people aren't going to be able to afford to buy it, because paper was still really expensive and resources were scarce. So they said it's going to cost so much that no one's going to buy it and no one knows who you are anyway, so you might as well split it into three, and then it became successful. I've also heard that Tolkien really, really, really hated the title Return of the King because it spoiled what happened, but his publishers and the printers overrode him. So out of respect, and just because it's easier, and I want to kind of see, like, my whole Pickwick Papers thing, I want to read it how he intended it to be read. I do, if you watch my bookshelf tours on the movie tie-ins, and these are from when I was younger. You can see they're kind of beaten up, because I was younger, and this one my dog like got to. So I also wanted one that I could have that was a little nicer to kind of replace these three. But I'll probably still keep those because they're old. They're original movie tie-in editions. So anyway, excited about this. This will probably go down during the summer because it's such a big boy. The next book we have is, and again, I don't know that much about it. The reason I bought it is because I know the author is a Mexican author who's very popular, Carlos Fuentes, and it's The Death of Artemio Cruz. And he was also on my list that my professor gave me. And I do think I've heard of this before. So I'm not really 100% sure about the plot or really what goes on. But like I said, I'm just trying to really get into these Latin American authors and read and kind of explore this whole group of writers who I've never really heard of and who aren't really mentioned too much. So I'm really excited about that. The next book is A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. I've heard this is really funny, and I've heard that it is ridiculous and kind of bizarre and funny, so I got this kind of on a whim. I'm excited to read it. I'm not sure. Sometimes these things like Catch-22, I'm going to be honest, I hate Catch-22. But sometimes these things are good, so excited for that one. And the last book on this, it seems like everyone that I watch, all the booktubers that I know have been doing this, and it's a graphic memoir, and I decided I would read it. It seems like everyone has a really positive reaction towards it. I'm interested, so I picked it up, and it is the Complete Persepolis, and it's about a girl growing up in revolutionary Iran and kind of like her life. So, and I don't read many graphic novels or graphic memoirs, so this looks interesting. So I'm really excited to read this one as well. And then I'll watch the movie. I know it's a movie. I haven't read it, I haven't seen it. So I'm going to read this first, and then I'll probably watch the movie. But yeah, so those are all the books that I got for Christmas. Let me know if any of them look exciting to you. If you've read any of them, let me know what you think. I'd really love to hear that. And as always, have a good one. Happy reading.